We were talking about Brock Purdy and what they should do with Brock Purdy, how much they're going to pay him, why it seems like they're ready to pay him way too much relative to the market and relative to his skills. And it's one thing for us to do it. We're expected to do it. You don't expect to hear it from players in the NFL who directly compete
division
with
rivals,
the 49ers in the division twice a year. A guy who is pretty, easygoing, nice smile, doesn't have the off-field demeanor that suggests the kind of on-field killer that he can be. But, man, Puka Nacua isn't bashful about speaking his mind. Here he is talking about Brock Purdy's contract with the 49ers.
Brock Purdy, is he going to get a 5?
I don't think so.
Do you think he's going to go with a 4? It's going to start with a 4.
Yeah.
A high 4?
No. I think mid 4.
A 45?
I think so. I mean,
if he does that, that'd be smart for him and them.
Yeah. I mean, I think he seems like a smart guy. I think they have a chance to still be in their window. And I think if he goes for a 5, that the window closes. Right?
I guess there's something to be said for lounging around and, you get, even though the microphone's there, you create the environment of relaxation and nothing makes the truth pop out of someone's mouth faster than a sense of relaxation. So maybe Julian Edelman's got something figured out the rest of us don't. Although you only get to fire that bullet once because Puka Nacua is never going back, I think, if he gets the blowback that maybe he will for this. I'm just surprised that he would come out and say that. You don't want to add any fuel. You don't want to be commenting. You just don't. There's nothing good that comes from this. Hell, for all you know, you're going to be playing with Brock Purdy one of these days. I was just surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised. And I think it's just they created an environment there where you speak the way you would have spoken if the cameras weren't rolling.
Right, just like two guys sitting on the couch. We're just hanging out. And, Edelman's done a good job of replicating that and making guys feel comfortable. Yeah, I see a lot of his stuff on social media, and there's good stories that get told to him all the time. All right, so here's the first thing. One, I would disagree with Puka Nacua in that the 49ers aren't in any window right now. Their whole team is gone. So the window is shut for the time being. They're not like, oh, we think we might get back to the Super Bowl here this year. Like, no freaking way is that happening. So I would disagree with him in that comment there. 2, to your point, it's rare. It's rare to hear players talk about other players' contracts and the situation and how their money will affect another team that you're not even on, right? So that is odd, and it's kind of crossing a line, and he does it tastefully to a degree. But, it is kind of crossing a line and kind of a no-no sometimes in the locker room as far as football is concerned. Number 3, though, is the other part of this, and the thing that I think you and I have been saying, we're going to continue to say, is that the league, nobody looks at Brock Purdy and thinks he's a top 10 quarterback in football. Nobody. Yeah, with Shanahan as his OC and the 49er All-Star team around the last few years, he can look pretty damn good. He can look top 10-ish. But we just saw last year when the 49er All-Star team fell apart and got injured, 6-11, and we're talking about we're going to pay over $50 million a year, and that's what it seems like. So that's just, I think, the 49ers are in a tough spot in their organization. They do have a quarterback. He is their franchise guy, but I don't think he's worth being paid one of the top 10 quarterbacks in football. But they got a guy, and they believe in him. So I don't know what to say, and I'm not mad at them for that either, but it's a tough situation. And, I would not want to see them pay more than $45 million a year either if I was running the team or had said say in it.
And complicating the situation is you've got Jed York, the owner of the team, who's been out there saying, well, it's hard to keep all these guys when you're going to pay the quarterback a bunch of money. But is the quarterback going to be able to carry the team? And is the quarterback going to be able to compensate for the fact that those other guys aren't there? And as you've said, and I think 45 is the right number. I remember when somebody reported that they opened at 45 and said that's insultingly low. Not as an opener.
Yeah, and you and I were like, no, that should end it. That should be the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're definitely going to end up starting the final contract with a 5, not a 4, if you open at 45. You're gonna get squeezed north of 50. You'll start at 45, they'll start at 60, and you'll finish at 52. So I'm
he
surprised.
wants to look respected, right? He wants to look like the franchise guy. He wants to look like he's a top 10-ish guy, so he's going to want that number. His agent and agency, I believe Brock Purdy is the only guy they represent, or the only big guy, so they're going to want to make sure that they make it look the right way. That's part of this conversation and the politics of the NFL and all that. So that's where you worry about it. At least I do, because listen, I like Brock Purdy. I just wouldn't want to give him, the treasure chest for what he is. He's a good player. You can do a lot of good with him. We know that. The Super Bowl was there to be had in the balance. But also in that game, he didn't make the few plays as they controlled the game throughout to get them over the hump. And as we discussed the day after the Super Bowl and a few days after that when I watched the film, there was another 5 or 6 throws where you just go, the top 10 quarterbacks in football make this and the 49ers win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel. But they can't do that with him. So that's the predicament they're in right now.
I will predict that the final Brock Purdy contract will be something that carries with it an eye-popping new money APY, but that does not stand up under scrutiny.
Okay, got you.
Whether it's phony baloney back-end bullshit numbers that drive up the average artificially, whether it is a structure that gives maximum flexibility to the 49ers to get out of the contract quickly, maybe a 2-year clear commitment, maybe the opportunity to walk after 1 year. Who knows? But if the number is the key, and this is what happens when you have, and Brock Purdy's never been on this merry-go-round before. No one connected to him has done this. They don't know what this is all about. When you have a small agency that is trying to parlay its representation of you into becoming one of the top agencies, and hey, look, I mean, what they're not trying to? I mean, anybody would be trying to use the fact that they stumbled into a guy who was taken last in the draft who's become a star quarterback. You get a big contract for him, you might be able to get more clients. They will be more obsessed with the APY than anything else, and using that as the springboard to recruit more clients. And so I think that it's going to be a number that makes us say, holy shit. But then when we start scratching, it's going to be like, this isn't as good as they want us to think it is. And that has parallels back to the last major quarterback contract they did 11 years ago with a guy who, if you mention his name, certain people's heads explode.
You're right.
So it was the same thing. When the number came out, oh, my God.
Bill
and then
Burr
I got the
does
contract,
a funny
it's
skit
like,
on that, actually. It's very funny, actually. It's very funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he goes crazy on it. Because he just all the people that overreacted, right? Where they're like, he took a knee, and I got to my grandfather was in the war. And he's like, hey, we took a knee because we didn't agree with what was going on at the time. It has nothing to do with the soldiers or the fire department or anything like that. Like, it's pretty funny. He goes off on it. Let me throw one other thing out to you. I don't know if this is plausible right now and where we are in the timeline, but like just where the 49ers are, would the Steelers want Brock Purdy as their quarterback? Would they want him?
ooh.
Right? Would they want to do it? Hey, listen, if it might be too late in the game to make a move like that for the 49ers now, but damn, if I had something to say about it, I would have been like, let's just blow this thing up. Let's trade him away to somebody and let's get somebody else at quarterback for the future and build this team again. That's what I would want to do. My friend Shanahan,
Aaron
John
Rodgers,
Lynch, they're gonna hate me probably for saying this and even starting this, but that's
because they told you. They put you up to it.
Right.
That's why you said
That's what I'm going to hear.
They put you up to it.
All the 49er fans are going to be like, oh, he's doing the 49ers work for them again. No, this is me, and this doesn't make life easier on them. I'm making life harder
just like
on
when
them.
I said the Bears should call the 49ers about trading for Kyle Shanahan. That was all orchestrated through you to me by Kyle.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I know. I hear that all the time. I always get that on my mentions and social media.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.